Awesome. We ready?
Think so. Everyone's ready.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got the
cool.
recorder going on.
Yep. Sergio, he likes to just leave a little bit of silence at the beginning to make it just awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, are we ready? Yep. Okay.
Nothing.
Need to focus. Am I right?
Waiting to dry.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Waiting to Dry. It's the podcast that when you describe it to people, you go, yeah, it's pretty cool. There's the guy who talks a lot makes fun of the quiet guy a lot. And then the quiet guy does a lot of stupid sound effects, but you'll like it. My name is Sergio Lopez. I'm the quiet one.
I'm Josh Lawyer.
And we have Trekell Art Supplies on the podcast today. We need the...
Yes.
staple of the soundboard.
Well,
So, introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Courtney Bridges, and I am the president of Trekell Art Supplies.
Awesome.
My name is Andrew Luna, and I do all sorts of stuff, but mainly videos.
nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you guys came down to hang out with Sergio for the day.
Yes, we
Yep.
did. We did a video and got some good food, and now we're here.
Nice. What'd you guys eat?
Awesome. Oh, I went over to Eastwind Bakery.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Good move.
got some bao things.
Yes,
Yeah.
delicious.
Nice. How'd you guys like Sergio's studio?
It's awesome. We love
cool, yeah.
we love when there's those kind of co-ops.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great for the artists because it keeps you guys motivated.
For sure.
Being in that art world and not sitting in a studio by yourself and being able to be with a bunch of other artists. I like being able to see that, and especially in small towns where there's not a huge art community. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
that's very important. So I love it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
In theory, that's what happens. We all end up behind our
Yeah.
closed doors.
You guys still just keep to yourselves and don't talk to anyone.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I might have more artists come to my secluded studio than Sergio has come to his.
Probably just because of the podcast. Huh?
Yeah, just that alone wins out. But even then, I feel like, well, whatever. But yeah, that is a cool spot. It's crazy going there at night. It feels like you're gonna be murdered.
Yeah, it's a little spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like we were going to get towed away while we're in our car.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. I love it. I love the grittiness.
I know. It's a cool spot.
It is.
Yeah.
And yeah, was it chilly there today?
Yeah, even I had two heaters cranking because I had a model there earlier, and even that I had them running on all night, and it still was cold enough.
Nice. So you guys have like videotape of Sergio doing jumping jacks to stay warm.
Yes.
Oh, he does that? Yeah. No, we missed that.
The authentic artist experience. Nice. Well, I saw there was like an image. Did you paint that today?
No, that's actually a image from in camera. That was a photo reference that I shot.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it looked awesome. I was like, dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. We can't wait to see the completed version of that. But it's awesome to be able to go to the artist studio
For
and
sure.
watch them live and ask them questions. And
Yeah. You guys work with some amazing artists as well.
we got lucky. I don't know what we did, but
Yeah,
they took to us.
I know Glenn works with you guys.
Yes.
He was one of our guests and a good buddy of mine.
Yeah,
Yeah, super
He's-
cool guy.
he's awesome. And that's
Yeah.
what the best part about the artists that we work with is they're friends before.
Yeah. Glenn
Colleagues.
Arthur, that is.
Yeah.
Did I say the full name?
No.
We know what you're talking about. But yeah, Glenn Arthur, he's
Yeah.
he's
The
awesome.
only
He is the only Glenn. I just reached out to him a long time ago, social media, and met up with him, and we just hit it off right away. And he's just been a buddy ever since.
Yeah, super good company to have for sure.
Yeah, we just go to his house just to hang out. It's nothing about business, just to go
Yeah.
there and be with him. And his boyfriend's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got animals, so of course that's another
Yeah.
reason why I always want to go there.
Yeah, he's got all the cats.
All the cats and a cute corgi.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it's
And a
awesome.
succulent.
Yes, lots of succulents. Did you guys go to his house when you did the
I have
interview?
not. He came here.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, we've been meaning to go and like hang out with them, me and my wife, but it's just you just get busy. It's tough. Like that's like distance always seems to play a factor as far as who I get to hang out with.
Big time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
same
is
for
what it
us.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, how close are you guys to LA?
Without traffic, an hour and a half. With traffic, 4 hours.
7 days.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But like I was telling Sergio earlier, if you hit it at the right time, you're in and out, no problem.
For
but
sure.
You just got to know the times of day to go in there.
Yeah,
And
not the like just not commuting hours probably.
no, definitely not. You're either staying there really late at night or you're trying to get out there before afternoon.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
it's great to be that close to LA and
For sure.
go
And
in and
not
meet all the
actually
artists.
like be in.
Yeah. We're kind of in the same predicament. It's like we're an hour from San Francisco, but it can become like 3 hours. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
usually if I'm hanging out with friends and it hits like 3:00, we're like, all right, well, we'll just hang out till 6 or 7 or
Yes.
whatever.
Yep.
And then we'll be fine. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You guys have a good group of artists in LA though. Like
Everybody seems to be heading out that way.
I
So
know.
it's working in our advantage big
it
time.
is really blowing up over there.
Yeah.
I know we've like even with Sergio, I've discussed it with my wife, like, oh, it would be great to move out there. It just seems like the scene out there is so vibrant right now. It's
It really is.
just like a magnet for artists, which is great. It's a beautiful thing to see. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of worked out that way. I try to find other artists to work with, all spread out throughout the country, but they always seem to just end up in LA. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't live there, they're going to visit at some point. So
For sure.
we get to see them a couple times a year at least, even if they don't live there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Well,
fun.
it seems like the gallery scene there is the most vibrant in the country, so that's just going to attract the higher caliber
Yes.
of artists.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was another complaint from the artists. Well, not a complaint, just more. It's sad to see all the galleries in San Francisco not being there anymore,
Yeah.
and everyone's kind of starting to close their doors. And
Yeah.
but it's the same thing with art supply stores. They're starting to close their doors too.
For sure.
And it's kind of sad in the art world right now. But I think we all need to keep our heads up, and
Yeah.
we'll find something awesome to do, and
Yeah.
it'll all come back eventually.
Yeah, I think one of the big things with LA that was made it so successful is they seem to be they embrace social media really hard, and they seem to put a good value to that medium and understand it, where I don't know if San Francisco or a lot of other places decided to do that, and so LA ended up having, I think that was like a big part of just social media plays such a big role nowadays with art and and kind of brand awareness or whatever you want to call it. So in LA, the Harsh Truth podcast, they had
From
which is-
Think Space.
Andrew,
yeah,
yeah.
Andrew from Think Space,
Yeah.
and he talked about it, and it was just refreshing to hear him say, like, "Yeah, you need that," and you don't hear that a lot with galleries and things like that, where they understand that this thing is changing and moving, and
But I think that Andrew's probably one of the more hard worker
yeah,
gallery owners, curators out there. He doesn't rely on just the artist to,
For sure.
You guys post about it. You guys bring your crowd to the gallery. No,
Exactly.
he's still out there looking for collectors, doing good things for his artists. He's so
Exactly.
hardworking. He's nonstop. I mean, he's all over the world all the time. He's not just focused on my gallery here in Culver City and
Right.
a couple artists. I mean, he's just all over the place. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for him. He knows what he's doing.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nice. So
Yeah. Ken from Spoke Art seems to be the only other person up here in the Bay Area
Yeah,
that's
Spoke Art's
working
good.
as hard.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yep.
a lot of hard work, right? I mean, for everybody it's a lot of hard work. I mean, Instagram is amazing. It did a lot for the art community, but
sure.
it's also, flooded what's going into people's feeds, and now it's constant. How do I stay on top of everyone's feed? How am I going to make
Yeah.
sure people see this? Am I reaching the right people? And when Instagram first came out, it was simple. It was like, oh, this is great. It's I don't have to do anything, and now it's
yeah, it's a grind.
yeah, now that's
really
even
is.
a job. Just when do I post, or how do I post? Am I posting the right things?
Yeah,
Do I have the
yeah.
right followers? And we all I'm guilty of it too. You're addicted to the likes. Why is
sure.
nobody liking my post? Why is nobody commenting on my post, but I don't think it's anything you're doing. It's just Instagram now. So
it's that dopamine fix that we all need now.
Yes, big time.
For sure.
Yeah. So I try to, I hear it from the artists that we work with and they get very bummed out about it. But I tell them, there's artists that made it before Instagram even existed. So remember that. Like there's still other ways to get in front of people and don't rely on social media all the way. Yes, you need it. We all need it. But don't just put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. Get out there, network, work on your email list, make sure your website is updated, and there's so much more you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I think the frustration is like that is a part of, as artists, you want to be self-sufficient. You don't want to have to work a part-time job or a full-time job or whatever you're doing. So I think social media allows that. It's like a chunk of that equation, where you say like, oh, this might open up some avenues that aren't open up to me. So I think artists, especially after they started playing around with algorithms and things like that, and people didn't understand what was going on and how your feed was coming in at, like it wasn't
chronological.
Yeah, exactly. So people got frustrated, like you didn't have a broken product.
No.
Why did you try to fix it? So I think a lot of artists were frustrated by that, but it is the world we live in. So
yeah, and they have to remember that Instagram is a business, just like all of us are trying to run. So of course they're going to do things to try to get money out of everybody, and it sucks because it was something so awesome and beautiful, and it brought the art community. I mean, out of all the social media platforms, I think Instagram really was just like above all the other ones out there.
I think so.
When it came to art, and it's just depressing to see where it went. It's Facebook now.
Yeah,
pretty much. So
Facebook and YouTube.
Yes,
it's a weird. But it is what it is. It is. I always think like for people that aren't in big cities and aren't in LA, aren't in like where they've got no art scene. It's like that must be like their one outlet.
Yes.
And, I know my wife MJ. She has like a group of artists she talks to. And she's like, oh, yeah, there's, I think you're a part of that group, right?
Oh, sure, yeah, the little art gang.
Yeah, what set you claim? But yeah, and she, like, I think Dennis something, I can't remember his last name. He's like, oh, like you guys are like my art community. It's like, that's cool. You get that from social media.
Yes, yes, it definitely has its positives. So I'm not trying to make it sound terrible, but it really does serve a purpose because Instagram really put us on the map too.
For sure.
So I can't be upset with it at all, but you have to, use that to build up this audience, and just, you have to keep coming at it from all different angles and not just focus on one aspect of it.
Sure.
So, but I get it. And it is awesome for people that are out in the middle of nowhere. Like, social media is just, it brings a lot of people together. The artists we were with last night were talking about how they met their doppelgangers that live in Florida. It's like the East Coast version of them, and they met them through social media, and now they're just good friends and meet up and hang out. And it's like, that's what social media was amazing for, was that kind of stuff. But now it's not good for sales. So you got to find the other ways to do that. And I'm just a firm believer in networking, because you just get so much from face-to-face interactions with people.
For sure. Yeah. I think, I've been like trying to figure out the connection between, like, for us as artists, we're trying to sell our product, and trying to figure out that like fine line of not advertising to my followers, but just hoping that something comes out of it, that I'm not going to be, so I'm like, I literally advertise nothing in my thing, but I just have this idea that like, oh, like, I know I hate it, so I can't, I don't know, it's like, it's this tricky, weird scenario. I don't know, like how, cause I mean, it's a little different, I think, cause we're trying to sell like really expensive paintings. Well, you guys are Trekell, so you guys have brushes, and you guys are selling to artists. Like, we need brushes.
Yes.
So you're not selling us something we don't need. So it's probably a lot easier than me being like, you don't need this painting.
But you want it.
Definitely.
You guys you have a way harder sale than we do. So it is a struggle, and
for sure.
Yeah, I know what you're feeling, because I can only imagine, on a small scale, what we're trying to do, trying to sell a brush for $10. I couldn't even imagine, trying to sell a painting for thousands of dollars.
Yeah, for
people
sure.
You need to buy this.
And they can't see the original either. That's the other tricky situation.
Yes.
Of like, you don't get to see the original, but you have to just trust that it's better in real life.
Yes.
Than this picture is showing.
And and it usually is. So at least that you guys got that going for you. It's always so much better in person.
Yeah, I agree.
Social media, again, good for seeing the artwork, but
there has been a couple.
Oh man.
Have you ever noticed like a painting that looked amazing? And I don't want to say any names or anything, but I've noticed like some artists, I'm like, oh, like this is. Usually it happens with people that are very design, like graphic design oriented, like style, you know, like flat colors. And I'm like, oh, I could see your brush strokes. I don't know. It seems like you're trying to go, well, I don't know. This is random.
So is it like people putting filters over their artwork?
Yeah, I think like pulling up probably the contrast and the saturation maybe to like make it feel more bolder than it is my guess. And then when you get to it, you're like, oh, the paint looks kind of watered down and not as like a graphic designer feely as your art seems like on social media or whatever.
Sure.
That's usually the random, I don't know, time I get let down by the original artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rare though, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Very rare.
For the most part, usually blown away.
Yeah.
Sizing is a cool thing too. Sometimes you see a painting on social media and you see it in real life and you're like, oh, that's humongous.
Yes.
Or, oh, that's tiny. Like,
Yeah,
how did you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just recently sold a painting that's pretty small, and I'm like, I hope the buyer understands that painting is tiny.
Yeah.
How big was it?
10 by 8. I think,
okay.
8 by 10. It was that a Ben show one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they, but I was communicating with them and they were really interested. I'm like, yeah, there it is. That's where you get it. But at the same time, I'm like, it's not cheap and I hope you understand. I try to make it clear, like it's this size, it's this much. So hopefully you don't get it and you're like, oh, I mean, I don't know. I'm a big fan of small paintings in general.
Yeah.
If I have a big painting, it's because I'm really in love with it, or I ripped that swoon off an abandoned building, which is different, but yeah. That's so. How do you guys how'd you guys stumble into the art or the brush world?
I really did stumble into it.
Yeah.
This was not planned. First job out of high school. Trekell actually does private label acrylic fingernail brushes.
Oh, really?
Yes. So the owner started the company back in the early 80s. He learned brush making overseas, learned in Japan. I mean, all over. He let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah, let's get some history.
Born and raised in Redding, California. After he graduated, went to Alaska, salmon fishing up there, and he's like, you just meet people from all over the world. Sure. Everybody goes to Alaska to do salmon fishing, and hey, season's over, you should come back to Asia with us. And he was just backpacking with different people. Pretty sure it was Japan that he was in when somebody approached him and was like, hey, I got this brush making company. We need help. Come help us. And he was like, okay. And just kind of went along with it and was like, this is awesome. And he said there used to be just little villages set up in Japan. And that's what the people did that lived there. They did brush making.
Right.
They would take the product home, make it in their houses, and bring it back to the factory the next day. And so he learned there.
I think China's like that, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure how.
I just recently heard something about China.
I'm sure it is.
Like each family will have like a random machine that makes a random thing. And then, I don't know exactly how the business model is, but
I bet
cool.
I'm sure it's kind of like that. And then, I mean, he traveled all over Asia and learned, and then he went to Germany because they have the master brush makers there, where you have to, I forget how many years it is. I think it's 5 years you have to study with a master brush maker before you get the title of being a master brush maker. Wow. Yeah. So he studied with them, and then he came back to the US. This was about a 10-year time frame we're looking at from when he left college to came back to the US, and he was at that time, that's when the acrylic nail industry was taking off. And so he started making brushes out of his apartment. And he said what really gave him the upper hand over all these other companies was it was taking 3 months for them to get brushes from overseas, where he could deliver in 2 weeks. Right. So, and he admits that he's like, the brushes were not good that I was making, but he was like, people needed them, so he just
fake it till you make it,
pretty much. And he made it. So
awesome.
Yeah, and then he started hiring the women, after he moved from Orange County up to where we are in the desert, he found a little community of Korean women up there. And they all just, those are our head makers. Just,
oh, wow.
Yeah, because we had an Air Force base that was open up there for a little bit. So
is that why he ended up out in Hesperia? Or?
He ended up, same reason a lot of people ended up, that it's just cheaper than living down in the LA Orange County area. So he wanted to start a family, and it was cheaper to live up there, more space. So he just moved the factory up there, and he was working out of his garage for a little bit until he was able to afford the factory space.
Wow.
So that was going on for a long time. And then 20 years later, that's when I popped in, out of high school. Mom's yelling at me to get a job. So I go there. My cousin was working there and got a job. Tried to leave for a little bit. I'm doing the whole, I'm young, I'm moving to San Diego, starting my life. That didn't work. So I came back because they basically, asked me, we would love for you to come back. So I reluctantly came back to the high desert, but it worked out in the end. And the owner, after the whole nail brush thing, that still goes on, but he's always had the art brush business on the side, and he's always believed in it, and he just wanted us to do something with it. And he told me, just see what you can do with it. I have zero marketing experience, no business degree, anything. And he's like, just do something with this. And okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you, MySpace. That's where we met Greg Simpkins at.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I know nothing about art, but I'm going to figure this out. And, he has so many friends.
Right.
So people like this guy's artwork.
Right.
So we reached out to him, and he tried the brushes out, and then he was the first one to come back to us and ask, do you guys offer any sort of sponsorship? Because I really like your brushes, and I want to, I obviously don't want to pay for them.
Right. Yeah.
But I want, who wants to pay for art supplies when you can get them for free? And I was like, let's try this out. Let's see what happens. And he totally, you guys have seen what he's done for us.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He is. He's amazing.
That's a good person to start off with, for sure.
Yes. And I had no idea. I was just hoping. And he turned out to be a huge part of the company. The panel production came from his dad teaching us how to make panels in his garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, oh, you guys want to start adding all these other products to your line? We'll teach you how to make panels. And I was like, I don't know what a panel is, but tell me more. So he's really just brought in so much to the family. His wife is amazing. His father's amazing. His mom's awesome. It's just a great family to be with. And so cool. that was our MySpace find. And then Facebook kind of didn't do much for us, but then Greg again, hey, you guys should get on Instagram. And I'm just like, God, another social media platform. I can't take any more of this. And so,
and what year was this?
When was Instagram big?
Did you guys get in on the beginning, or?
It was close to the beginning.
Okay.
When it was easier to get followers and people seeing. It was it was early, and so 2010 probably. And that's what did it for us. All of a sudden, everyone was like, who is this company? What are you guys doing? Where did you come from? And there was just this huge buzz for a while about, everyone thought we were a new company. And I guess you could say we were new in the art supply world, but not, brush making wise. So now that our name is on our brushes, that's how people are starting to learn about us. But we have been making brushes for 34 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And then Andrew was hired on to paint handles how many years ago?
Maybe 6.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so he's the one that changed the handles we were talking about earlier. They used to be green and gold. So we decided to do an overhaul because my boss was like, just do whatever. And I was like, I'm not going to lie, can't stand those colors. I was like, please let me change them. And that's just the color scheme we came up with. So we had a lot of handles to paint, a lot of brushes to redo. So Andrew came into the factory and started painting handles.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was kind of cool process just because I've never, the art world almost still to this day I'm like still such an outsider.
Right.
I don't know much anything about it. I've tried painting. It's not for me.
For sure.
I gave up pretty quick, but
but
yeah, we would just have this huge tin can of lacquer paint and just dip those handles in there from like this old German candle maker mechanism with pulleys and a weight filled with lead bullets.
Okay.
I don't know what size they are, but it was just a bucket of bullets for the weight to... It's a complicated mechanism, man, but...
That's cool.
It worked out, and and I'm glad I don't do it anymore.
It reminds me of when me and my wife, we went and visited Gamblin for a bit, and I forget what machine they had. They had some machine that was made for something else, and they were like,
what was that machine? We saw it.
Yeah, they talked to us about it, but,
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too.
I feel like it had something to do with food.
Yeah, maybe like toothpaste. Oh, it's toothpaste fillers.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was one of those things. But yeah, I mean, there's so many machines out there that can just be used for.
Yeah, there's this guy who makes palette knives called Oak Blade, and he makes them on old like Italian jewelers machine.
Yeah.
And he just, like it flattens the titanium out, and so you could shape it from there.
That's rad.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see the production end of art supplies and see how much like care and like thought goes into all those things, and getting like a insider view on those like technical and like parts of why you use this thing, and you know, it was like it's a great thing. It is like I know like Sergio, he is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to art reasons and like breakdowns of things. And for me, since I'm self-taught, I'm just like, this works, I'll use that.
Right.
And I don't know how things age or anything like that. Or, you know, so it's great to like get that kind of input from people that are, you know, just masters at that aspect of, you know, what they do. It's cool.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. And people come to the factory and get the tour. And
for sure,
you know, I've been there for so long that I'm bored by it, but they're just like, this is amazing. So it's always cool to see their reaction and that they're excited about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make it feel a little better when their eyes light up, because, you know, it's just a weird setup, just because I'm trying to think about it right now. And I remember walking in, even getting the job, and they're like, all right, this is the machines you're going to be using 8 hours a day.
Right,
and this is all you do. You crank the pulley, and then you hit this lever, and you have to watch it. So it was almost like watching paint dry.
Right.
Literally.
They're waiting for it to dry.
Yeah, waiting to dry. Yeah. But it's a cool operation, but I mean, it's day to day for us, so it's not a big deal.
8 hour. Yeah,
but
for sure.
when we went to the gambling factory, it's, you know, same thing for us, where we're like, this is amazing, this is awesome, and they're, you know, whatever. We see this every day. It's not a big deal.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, it's awesome. But we built a relationship with Gambling recently, and they're just amazing people.
Yeah,
I can't say
super awesome.
enough about that company, and I really, really enjoy them. They have great ethics, and they're just they've been so much help to us that.
That's awesome.
And that's another thing that I've just noticed with the art community is most people are just willing to help. Like everyone just wants to help each other, and you ask for help, you're going to get it. It's rare that somebody's just like, no, don't bother me. Don't talk to me. And it's the same thing with all the art suppliers too. They're all so helpful, and it's
for sure.
They've done a lot for us. I don't know if they know it, but they have.
Yeah. I think the big thing is no one's going to become a billionaire selling anything from art unless, well, don't say anyone, but people, very few people.
Yeah.
So most people get into it for the love of art in general, and they want, you know, like I know when Visit Gamma, they're just very into creating the best product for, you know, the artist.
Yeah, they're all artists too, so that makes a big difference.
For sure.
It does.
So, you know, it's just a great thing in general.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah,
that's something we were talking about earlier, because I didn't really know like how art supply companies really interact with each other, and if it's a community kind of like we have with artists, and it sounds like it sort of is.
It is. It is. They do the convention circuit just like some of the artists do, and so you start seeing the same faces over and over again. And when the first convention we did within that community was the Plein Air Expo in Monterey, I think 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's where I first met you guys.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And we didn't know anybody there. We didn't know any of the other vendors. A few of the artists we knew, but we had no idea what we were getting into. And Karen from Michael Harding Paints came over, and she was the first one to introduce herself to us and ask questions about us, and was just so nice and welcoming. And I mean, she's still one of my favorite people in the art supply industry to talk to. She's so much fun. And then same thing with Gamblin'. I met them at another expo, and Carrie and I exchanged business cards, and then I just kind of reached out to her, and then that just kind of blossomed. And then Andrew from Savoir Faire He's another one that just, super nice to us. He used to work for Blick, and he would come over and talk to us. And then when he moved over to Savoir Faire, he, you guys should carry our paints. And we started talking to him. And then we just met up with him and Pierre before we saw you guys today. And it's just fun. It's not always business. We get to talk, what's going on in everyone's lives and get to know a little bit more about them. And it's a lot of fun. And those conventions are the same thing. The art supply companies are friends with the artist, and everyone's just hanging out and having a good time. And it's not always just business. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
So if there is any art supply company wars going on, I don't know about them. But yeah, we're all pretty cool with each other, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I think because most of them they're just hungry for information and ideas.
Yeah.
And it's, having like a 10-minute conversation, even if, maybe you're considered a rival, you're just shooting ideas back and forth.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's very similar to painters.
Yeah.
Because, technically we should be competing with each other, but, it is what, I don't feel that at all with any artist.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any artists I know that are competitive with, maybe I'm just not in those circles or something, but.
They exist, but I feel like you're going to just make your life harder by excluding yourself and pushing people away and being negative. It's like, there's no reason for that.
I do know some artists that get mad or get jealous, I should say, of other artists' opportunities. And I'm always like, relax.
Yeah. You have to realize, every once in a while somebody did get something maybe they probably didn't deserve. But for the most part, these people earn it. You get out there, you do the groundwork, you meet people, you're a good person. Like something good is going to happen to those people that are out, what's the term I'm looking for?
On the grind.
Something like that. Like the people that are constantly working, more is going to happen for them. And I don't think it's fair for you to be jealous of it. Just take note and start working harder and getting out there and trying. And us as a company, we've failed multiple times. It's not, everyone just doesn't score right off the bat. Like it takes a lot of work and you're going to fail and it's going to suck, but you just keep going.
Exactly.
And being negative and putting other people down.
It does nothing.
It does nothing. It just makes you look not very good.
And it's just a waste of time.
It is.
And energy. It's like,
it is.
You could be out there painting, but you're just frustrated.
Yes.
Wasting energy.
Focus on yourself and the good things that are going on in your life.
Exactly.
And, the things that you have seen that you've done that had a positive result, and keep going forward with that.
Exactly.
Sitting around and putting other people down, putting other companies down, not going to do anything for you at all.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well put. Awesome.
Yeah.
So have you ever dipped your toe into painting?
I have. I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of dedication, and my dedication is sales.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no excuse. I should be painting. I should be sitting at home at night and just...
No, you're good.
Let my mind clear, paint. But it's going to help the company too. So it's like, why
We've been
not?
drawing lately.
Yes, I started sketching a little bit, and I'm surrounded by amazing artists. I could be getting all this awesome information from them. And
for sure,
I told Kate Zambrano, I was like, I'm going to regret this one day. I'm going to kick myself for not learning how to paint and getting information from these people. And, I should be doing it right now. So I am trying to be a little more proactive, and just, I'm not going to be the best artist in the world, but I should at least try to do it a little bit.
For sure. Teach their own. If it's not for you, like if it doesn't, like for me, I'm just addicted to it. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And if someone isn't addicted to it, I hold no, it's like, then find what makes you happy and do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I think it was Scott. I can't remember. No, not Scott. Someone from Gamblin who we stayed at his house. I think he's like the vice president of Gamblin or something like that. I can't remember his name, but I'm horrible at names, so apologies.
Do you remember our names?
Bad question.
I'm horrible.
Don't worry, I'm not offended. I remember faces, but not names.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. But he was like, "Oh yeah, I've tried. I'm horrible." I'm like, "All right, like that makes sense."
What's going on there?
Oh, my neighbor. Sorry, we'll pause it real quick.
Get him in here on the podcast.
Every time.
One day we'll have a real studio.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the rawness of it.
I know. I actually enjoy recording at my house. It's like,
I think it's more comfortable though.
Yeah.
It's like a serious studio setup. It's like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how when we were recording with you, you're like, this is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel natural. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's the way to convince people to say things they shouldn't. Get them all comfortable.
No, it's
feed
true.
them a couple beers. Yeah,
Nice cow.
exactly. But yeah, I don't know I'm sure people have regretted things they've said here. Actually, I know people have regretted what
They're like, are you going to edit that out, please? Yeah. But you were talking about Scott. You were staying at somebody's house from
maybe
Gainesville?
Scott. Wait, who's the artist guy that's out of there? Is that
Scott.
Okay,
Scott
then it was not
Gillespie.
Scott because Scott's good at painting.
Yeah.
Someone else. I can't remember. Silver-haired guy.
Oh, was it Pete?
Pete.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Pete and Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed at Pete's. But yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'm horrible at painting." I'm like, all right, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I thought we saw Pete's work. It's good.
I've seen his work.
He can paint.
Maybe it's
He
someone
knows what
else
he's
I'm
doing.
thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not Pete. I don't know.
Or was he
Yeah.
just being modest? Like, I can't paint.
Yeah, it might have been that. Yeah. Does Pete have 2 daughters?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it is Pete. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it wasn't even Pete that said it. I don't know.
We're just starting rumors.
How early can you get Alzheimer's?
But yeah, I mean, none of us at Trekell are artists. We have a photographer that works there. Ashley kind of draws a little bit, but I think it has its advantages and disadvantages because
sure.
I feel like if you have an artist in house, you're going to only them for their opinion. Like we have a
Right,
resident artist,
okay.
you tell us everything. Okay, you test this, you test this, you test this. You're only getting one side of it. Where I have a technical question about this, I can send it to a few of our artists and be like, "What do you guys think about this?" and get feedback from all of them. So
that's
it
cool.
would be nice, every day to just have that artist there, like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" But our artists like Greg and Sean and Kate and Tony, I mean, they're so great with art supplies and they understand everything about them and they give us all the feedback that we need. So
That's awesome.
we don't really need them in house, but they're still there. Don't think that we're just doing this blindly. We do have artists that are working with us.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good move.
Yeah, like if I was an in-house artist, I'd be like, "Oh, just get rid of everything but the spectrum brushes."
See? Yeah, because each artist is going to have something that they like that's particular to their style.
Right,
So we're
exactly.
trying to reach an array of artists. We can't just focus on one of them to give us the answer to everything.
Right.
Like,
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, so it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have other artists using different mediums, so one brush is going to work better for a different medium than another.
Yes.
So
Right.
you need that feedback too.
Yeah, definitely. So one day, hopefully, we can have like 20 artists just working in house for us. Until we get there.
I got a random question. How do you pronounce it?
Trekell.
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
Well, we get a lot of Trekell. I think both ways are fine. We know what you're talking about if you say it.
So how do you pronounce?
I say Trekell.
Yeah.
That's just the way that I was told to say it.
Sergio.
What
I'd
was
say
he tell?
Trekell.
You say Trekell?
Yeah, Josh is the one who says Trekell.
Trekell.
Oh wait. Oh yeah. I do say Trekell. yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. Oh yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
Our episode with the mandolin, we had fun with that.
Yeah. Because Sergio's like Trekell. I'm like Trekell. That
Yeah.
sounds fancy.
Doesn't it?
And I'm like, I thought it was Treckle.
Yeah.
And then we were like, it sounded like I was a hillbilly, is what they said, pretty much.
Don't worry. More people say Trekell than Trekell, so
Nice.
don't worry about it. If they say Trekell, it's because they've heard us.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sergio had an in. He cheated. That's hilarious. That's awesome. So that's cool that you guys. So when did you guys start working with Greg in MySpace days?
MySpace, yeah.
Wow.
So when was that?
He was in the top 8.
Nice.
Yeah.
He made the top 8.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did make the top 8.
Nice. That's
Yeah, that was back in what? I don't even know when MySpace was. 2006, maybe, is when I found 2005,
I think so.
2006. Yeah.
Yeah, I was late to everything. I think I was probably. It seemed like social media for me. I except for Instagram, I was always like the one that was coming in the second everyone was like on to the
Leaving.
next thing. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm here.
Where is everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the song to play right when you come to my page.
Exactly. I forgot about that.
MySpace.
The top 8, the song.
Yes, all
Glitter
the drama
bombs
that came
everywhere.
along with the top 8. Like, I see you move me out of your top 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. The
Yeah.
drama.
But yeah, that was back in those days. But it was actually a marketer that we hired to talk to artists, and I just found the artist, and then she went out and was dealing with all of them. So I didn't talk to Greg personally until a few years later after that. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Yes.
You guys were pretty early on Instagram. I was pretty. Well, not that early. I think I joined in like 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I joined too.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I wanted to join, but I didn't have an iPhone yet, so that's the only reason I wasn't able
Oh,
to
I
get on
forgot about
early.
that. Yeah, it used to be exclusive to iPhone.
Oh, was
Right,
it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Huh. I don't know when I joined because I didn't have an iPhone for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But I also didn't have a smartphone for a long time. I decided, I think I've talked about this before where I was spray painting on property that wasn't mine.
I don't know if you talked about this on the podcast, but yeah.
And so I used to always carry a phone that I could like snap in half if I had to.
Yeah.
Because we would always take pictures and I heard stories about how they would go through your phone. So I would, if we ever, there was 2 times I just saw the cops were rolling up on us and I was like, and I just shoved it back in my pocket.
Yeah, so you didn't want to do that with your iPhone.
No. So yeah, when at some point I started carrying an iPhone. My wife, she was into Instagram pretty early on. She was like, "You need to do this," and I was like, "I don't need to do anything."
Yep.
And we were just dating at the time, and she started showing me artists that I never knew about. Like, I think Zoe Milk was one of the early, one of the few. She was like, check out this person's work. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah.
And so she started showing me all these artists I've never seen before because I was kind of in my own world. And then I was like, wow, I kind of want to see these people's work and check it out. So that's kind of why I joined. Not thinking at all about getting a following or anything.
Yeah. You don't realize what it's good for until you're on there for a while, and then you start seeing the potential, because at first you just hear social media platform and you're like, no,
Right.
I don't want to do this. No, because I was resistant to it big time, and then I finally was like, God, I just gave in, and I was like, okay, you guys were right, I was wrong. So but I think that it was just good for artists because on Facebook and MySpace, there was just all this distraction, stuff going on the sides and lots of words. And Instagram just simplified it and was like, here's an image.
Exactly.
So it was like, for the artists, it was just like your image was in everybody's face. And they really did it for the art community.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. It was. R.I.P. Instagram.
But
for all its faults, it's still the best one for artists, too.
Yeah.
It really
Until
is.
What's It Called steps up. What was that one that...
What, Vero? Did you guys jump on the Vero
I did.
train? Yeah.
We were all hoping. We were
parked
like,
our
please,
names,
please. And then that just didn't last very long.
Yeah.
So I think eventually something else has to come along.
Yeah.
It always does.
It does. I think everyone's hungry for it and we're all waiting for it. It's just not there yet.
Yeah.
So.
I just hope it's like friendly, art friendly is me being selfish. I'm just like, I hope it's whatever comes up is able to, artists are able to Instagram was so perfect.
It was
because they didn't even have video when they first started. So it was like, all you see is one picture. And it's like, well, we're perfect for that.
Yeah.
You couldn't even format it. It had to be a square.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the only bad
that.
part.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
when you guys go to these, what are they called? Like the conventions?
Yeah.
Who goes there? Like other than, or is it like art stores? Is that who goes to like those things?
You mean like who's vendors there? Or?
No, not the vendors, but more like the people walking around checking out things.
It depends on the convention. We don't go to the plein air one anymore, but those ones, obviously it's catered towards plein air. So it's in the vendor exhibit hall. It's, the companies like the brush companies, panel companies, paint companies, they all hang out in the vendor expo. But then on the stage, they'll have artists up there demoing, or people that run galleries, like they'll have speakers, and it's just everyone that's walking around they could be a professional artist. They could be a hobby artist. They could just be there because they want to. So that's how, and the same with like the Portrait Society, obviously it's a portrait convention. So it's the same thing, but just a different type of art. And then Designer Con is the convention that I can't speak highly enough of that convention. I
definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, it's come up a bunch.
They're awesome. Well, it's just
show.
After, being on both sides of it, I appreciate that they keep their booth rentals low because you got to realize these people are coming from all over the country. That doesn't include airfare. It doesn't include hotel. It doesn't include the expense of getting your product to Designer Con. So the cheaper they keep the booths, it's easier on the vendors. And then the tickets to get in are inexpensive. So you're getting a ton of traffic coming through. You're getting more exposure. And it's just a fun event. Like the vibe there is just, it's exciting. Like
that's awesome.
Sounds great.
They've grown from a little tiny convention that was in Pasadena and one of the halls, and now they've taken over the Anaheim Convention Center, and it was just huge. I think there was between 500 to 600 vendors there this last year. Yeah, and it's lots of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it sounds super cool.
Yeah, so the people that walk around there, tons of artists, people that just want to collect because there's T-shirts, toys.
Yeah.
What else is there? Anything you can think of. If it's people that make something, they're selling it. So that's why there's a ton of artists there, and it's a great way to network. Even if you're not there to sell anything, just to walk around and meet your peers. It's amazing for that.
But you guys have booths there?
We have a booth there, and we have like the market on it.
Okay, nice.
The only art supply company there. So there's others that have tried to come through and they don't usually last. So it works out for us. We love it. And it's a lot of fun. We had a great time this past year.
Awesome.
So I recommend anybody that can get to Designer Con just to check it out. Yeah. All types of artwork are, accepted there. It's not just cater to one type of art.
Yeah. That seems to be the one that's kind of looks appealing to me, at least. Where I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because I know... whatever.
It's a huge variety. Just you get the people, just working out of their garage, and then you got the guys like Ron English,
right,
who has like the 60-foot by 60-foot area of the convention center, but it's huge, elaborate setup.
Yeah.
And then it's just such variety.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody and everybody, people you never hear of, people you never see their Instagram. They're there just trying to show you their stuff to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a good place to go, Sergio.
Waiting to dry, take it on the road.
Yeah, you guys you honestly could set up your booth there to promote your podcast. You could do a live podcast in your booth there. Like there's just so much opportunity at that convention.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. It really it's so much fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. But there's so many different art conventions that go on, and we like going to like just even like little events here and there, and just the smaller, more, just 10 artists are going to be here coming out. Like I love that kind of stuff because you actually can engage with them more and get their attention, and it's not a big distraction because there's stuff all over the place. Like you're there with them and they give you their time. And I like that a lot too. So we like both sides of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I totally get that. So when you guys film Sergio today at his studio, when it's done and edited, is he going to look super cool?
You have to ask Andrew that.
What I mean to say is he going to look cool?
I give him a lot to work.
Is he going to look cooler than he actually is? Is what I'm trying to say?
Like a 1 out of 10?
Yeah.
I think he's got a potential for like maybe like an 8.
Okay.
Right on. It's better than I was hoping for.
That's super cool.
That's the fun part of video is just seeing how it is after it's edited. Because during the recording process, it looks awful. You think you sound stupid on camera. But then once Andrew works his magic, you're like, oh, that was awesome. It's fun.
So is there an interview process as well?
There is.
Oh, that's cool.
No, I hate saying that. I'd rather not say it. I like it more just, let's just hang out. Don't even worry about the camera. Just talk. Just bullshit. Say whatever you want. And then I'll pick through it.
Yeah.
Because that way it's more natural.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Because, people can pick up on it so easy.
Yeah.
Like when...
The awkwardness.
Yeah.
Totally
you can tell when somebody's tense on camera and not enjoying themselves. I was terrible at doing the interview part. I was very structured and looking down at my notes and asking questions. And Andrew was like, "You need to get out of here. Let me take over and do this part." And then it was more natural, and you could see the artist was more comfortable on camera. So
that's awesome.
I got kicked out of that part.
Well, I don't really bring it up too much, but I at least try to let the person I'm interviewing know that, hey, I really don't know anything about art. I don't know what paint does when you put a brush to it. So you can really, tell me things, it's not condescending.
Right.
I'm really actually like listening word for word.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
and that's what the viewers want on YouTube. They want information. They want to understand what you're doing, why you chose that product, you know, how it performs. So the more information you guys give us, the better.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're kind of banking on the fact that most of the people who are going to watch that video are just as much of that want to sponge it up and just they want to know every single word and what you're trying to get at and what you're trying to explain. They need it just because, you know, who out in Kansas is going to find their way to an art school
for sure.
You know, and then this day and age, you know, there's so many different faucets to get, you know, knowledge or to pick up a skill.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, you don't need a teacher, you know, just watch a YouTube video or listen to a podcast.
One of the artists we met on the way up here, he said he learned everything from YouTube, and he looks like he was classically trained. And it's amazing to me. I'm just like, that's cool.
For sure.
There are things that you definitely can get from going to a school, though.
Yeah.
That you can't get from YouTube, but it's amazing what you can get from YouTube. There's just so much. I mean, even things at the factory. Oh, one of our saws isn't working anymore. Let's figure out what's wrong with it. Oh, what do you know? There's a video on YouTube that shows you how to fix it. It's like everything's out there for you to know. So it's really cool that the artists get that information as well.
Sure.
Aspiring artists.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know when I was kind of coming up as an artist, any like little tidbit of an artist that I loved, if they put any kind of information out there, I would eat it up. You know, it was more like DVDs and things like that at the time, but it was just, and even just interviews where they would show like a little bit of the process. I would try to figure out what are they doing?
Yeah.
Why are they doing that? And what is that little bottle of whatever?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so yeah, I mean, it's great nowadays, and with YouTube, you can find whatever. But there is this weird thing I get like upset with the Instagram. Like, if they ask me a question, is like, you guys aren't even just because I think it's just because of how I learn things. It was like no answers were given to me, so I'm such a detective about things to where people are like, "What are you using?" I'm like, I just answered that question 2 rows down. Like, you could have just scrolled and seen if anyone asked the same question and seen if I would have replied.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
spoon fed.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it's kind of got to cater to it, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The way I look at it now is like, well, they left a comment, so that's good for my algorithm.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll just reply to them.
Yeah.
Not because I'm happy, but because it helps me out.
I think I think they honestly like the direct response from whoever they're asking instead of reading what somebody else. They're like, I also want them to interact with me and I want to ask them a question. But I think the worst part is when it's in the description.
Yeah.
This goes on sale at this time tomorrow. Where do I get this at? What time does it go on sale? Well, I can't find it on your website. You're like,
exactly. Exactly.
That's when it gets frustrating.
They could just say hi.
Yeah.
Or how's your day going? And I'd be like, good. How's yours?
Yeah.
That would be a nice change of pace.
It would be, huh? Let's all just start having conversations. Text via Instagram.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be fun.
For sure. I have like weird conversations because there's like a good amount of people that regularly talk to me throughout. You know, they're just like the 1% of like my really big fans, it seems like. And they always talk to me, and we just have like weird conversations in the DMs.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, thanks for hanging out again or whatever.
And they live all over the country.
Yeah.
See, that's rad. That's so much fun.
Especially if you're like a young artist, you know, it's like, oh, cool. I get to talk to this artist that I love.
Yeah.
So it is cool in that way. Because I know when I was doing MySpace at the time, that was like a big thing for me. I remember, I forget what artist responded back to me, and I was like, we're friends now. We're best friends.
Do you want to come to my birthday party?
How'd you like my song?
Yes. Yeah. It is cool to like give people that. I mean, something so small like that just makes somebody's day. So,
for sure.
You know, it makes me happy too when people are like, "Oh my God, Trekell posted my artwork," and I'm like, "No, I'm happy that you posted that you're using our brushes. Like, that's amazing."
Yeah.
So
for sure,
you always got to remember the small guys because you started out there too. So we always give back if we can.
Yeah, and it's easier to be like the humbug, Mr. Scrooge or whatever, and just be like, "Come on, I've answered this question."
Yeah,
yeah. I used to have on my bio, like, please don't ask me what I use. A man can only answer the question so many times.
Yeah.
But like my mind changed after a while. I was like, I gotta like understand these guys are hungry for info.
Yeah.
And I was too. They get to just reach out and grab it, and I shouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah. You see some of the artists, I think they've like realized that they're going to get asked that question over and over again, so they'll just post after they put their caption. It's like brushes, this company, paint, this company, panels, this company, and they just put the information because they know they're going to get asked about it. But I mean, that's not fun either, just putting that in there every time you post something.
And it probably doesn't even help.
No. It doesn't.
No. Like I have a frequently asked question, like a highlighted video.
Yeah.
So people can go on and see how I do things. And I always get the same questions. I'm like, all right, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's helping my algorithm. I tell myself.
Yep.
You get what's your
My FAQ sort of thing.
What's your number one?
Ask question. Oil or acrylic?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's yours?
Probably how do I prime my wood? Probably the most common.
Because you paint on
Question.
basically bare wood other than a
Clear gesso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are like, "How do you do that?" I'm like,
With
"Clear
the
gesso." I just did that. I just said that to someone the other day. They were like, I forget what they said. So MJ didn't think. My wife didn't think it was funny. She was like, they were like, "How do you do that?" And I was like, "With a pencil." She's like, "You're so mean." Sometimes
It could be like, with a brush. I prefer Trekell.
Yeah, see, that was the right answer.
yeah, I mean, I do that all the time. I'll point people to what I use, but even today, someone asked me, like, what kind of lead to use? I'm like, this kind. He's like, can you get it at Amazon? I'm like, yeah, look up this name. It's like, but I forget. The person worded the question weird, where they're like, how do you draw that? And I was like, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, with a pencil. Like, years of practice,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
But at the time, I was in a little mindset of like, well, I'm going to give them a little shit.
Caught you at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Ask me after I've had food, and then I'll tell you better.
Exactly.
info.
Yeah. But yeah, the other thing too is like on my lunch break, if I post something, because I work a full-time job, so on my lunch break, I'll try to like knock out all these answers of questions. So it's like something like that. I'm like, I don't know. Like someone the other day said, what are all the supplies you use? And I was like, all of them?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to have to come back to you with that answer. Cause that's going to be a whole sit down. That's my entire lunch.
You can do a whole podcast on that.
Exactly. And even then I always tell people like, like, you can use what supplies I'm using, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make you get better at art.
Right, exactly.
You're still going to need to put in those hours and train yourself. Like sketching is like you can buy a cheap pencil and sketch and get that down. And that's an important part of being a good artist, is being able to
draw.
Yeah, to draw.
Yeah.
So, it's like
it does help to have better supplies.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
You don't, obviously you don't want
100%.
a brush that's falling apart on you while you're trying to use it, because
Yeah.
that just makes learning even harder. But yeah, it's
Definitely.
not, the supplies don't make the artist. It's definitely got to practice.
I love good supplies, and I just love when you find an art supply that you're like, wow, this is great. Like, it lasts long. It works well, and like all these like things, you definitely end up sticking to those things.
Yes.
But yeah, it's not the answer to your problem.
No.
Just, I would recommend finding good products for sure. But like things like pencils, I'm like, like you'll survive if you have like a orange number 2 pencil. You'll
figure
be
it
fine.
out. Yeah.
You don't need to figure out how the hardness of your lead is, and you can like, especially if you're like really early on, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I can start with the basics.
Talking smack about young artists. Read a book.
Well, speaking of young artists, so what do you do for a full-time job, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't really like talking about it.
All right, psych, let's not talk about that. I just wanted to go more into something that we just realized recently that I think turns people away from wanting to do art is they expect to be able to do it for a living.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to paint and I'm going to make money off my paintings. And it's like, you can do that, but one of the artists I was talking to, she was like, I can only name one person off the top of my head that makes a living off of just selling their paintings.
For sure.
Everybody else is doing a workshop or selling something else on the side, working a part-time job. Yeah. You know, and I don't think that they teach you that. Yeah. You know,
even like you rely on your spouse for like the majority of the income. You rely on. You know,
I think they look up to their you know, the people that they admire, and they're like, oh, they're just making a living doing their art. But I don't think a lot of them realize there are other things going on behind the doors that you know, you don't know about. And I don't want young artists to be discouraged and think like, I haven't made a living off my artwork, I'm going to give up, I'm not doing it anymore. No, even the pros that are out there are doing something else to subsidize their income. Nobody is just you know, making paintings and that's that. Like we're all still working very, very hard. So it's like do your art, but also do something on the side. If you're not making money off of just your artwork, there's other things out there. And you know, work for a company where you can do illustration, where you can still put your art skills to use, but then also do what you love on the side. Yeah. So when I was talking to that artist about that, I was like, I think they should be talking to kids about this more. Like, for sure. It's a hard thing to get into. Don't think that you're just going to make money off of your artwork. Like, just do what you love and it'll come to you, and you're still going to probably have to do something else on the side. So
even during the course of doing this podcast, that made me realize how many of our guests have side gigs of some sort.
Oh yeah. Me and MJ, we've talked about it, of like the amount. Yeah, I think we came up with one artist that, you know, doesn't have any like outside help, doesn't have an outside job, and just that we're friends with that is doing it full time. And it's like, I mean, I could think of a second one. Well, I don't know.
But there's not a lot. There's not
for sure.
like, you know, 80% of the artists I know are making a living off their artwork. It's like, no, it's not that way at all. So it's, you know, if you can teach workshops on the side, that's awesome, because you're still painting and making money and hanging out with an art crowd. So I think that's something very important that I always want to get out there to young people, so they're not discouraged. Like, don't give up, just keep painting, but just realize that it's not everyone's going to make it like that.
The one, I know we've talked about it a bit, but like the thing I'm always curious about is how do you know, change is there a potential way of changing the mindset of not like artists, but more of like the necessity of art, I guess, you know, like it's like you know, music is like a thing where people are willing to pay not only for like music, but like to go and experience it live. Yeah, you know, and they're willing to spend a good chunk of their money for it. And I'm always like, how do you change that mindset? Because I think there is this weird, with the art world in general, there is like this weird separation between like the $1 million paintings and like the, you know, couple $1,000 paintings or whatever. And it's always like, how do you find the you know, how do you persuade the public to kind of value art as like a whole?
That's a good question.
Well, is like the stigma among artists that, you know, you're not technically an artist unless it's your entire income? Like, can you technically like...
No, but I think there was moments in history where artists was like it was like a job, you know, like a legitimate, I mean, it was very much more like you were doing commission work. So, you know, that's a thing. And I think a lot of the people that I know that are more self-sufficient as artists are doing mural work, which is good. But I don't know. It's, you know, you had like back in the day, they used to have like the magazine artist or whatever and all that stuff. I don't know. Sergio knows way more about this stuff than I do. But that's just always a question I try to, that's like why I think Instagram is so great, is because it made art more valuable. It really did. It just, more people are more aware of way more artists. You know? People that aren't artist or art savvy or whatever, they all of a sudden they have all these like I think Glenn Arthur's like 800,000 followers or something like that. That's not 800,000 artists. That's people that probably found his stuff and was like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I think tattooing is another like great thing where
for sure.
people spend money on art. It's a very common thing. People get it and they love it, and it's not like it's very common.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you do that with a painting?
Yeah.
That's
I heard a theory actually that I forgot which artist was saying it. Maybe multiple artists were saying it, but when the stock market is doing good, nobody buys art.
Huh.
Really? Huh.
Well, I don't know if that's true though, because a bunch of artists like when the crash happened, they were like, "Well, I'm not selling anything."
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody was selling anything around that time. But yeah,
I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing those numbers for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it was just thrown out there as like a theory. Like someone's just like, yeah, I kind of noticed it.
Yeah.
And then I had replied with, well, maybe, if the stock market's doing good, all these people with investment money, they're not going to take it out of the stock market.
Right.
So if it's doing bad, they want to get the hell out. And what are they going to do with all that money? Oh,
right.
Buy some artwork.
Huh. That's interesting.
I mean, I doubt there's like real actual numbers to corroborate that, but
yeah.
I mean,
it is a theory though.
Yeah.
Something
It'd be
think
cool
about.
to hear other artists' opinion on how they did.
Yeah.
During low times or recessions or whatever.
Because I feel like everybody's trying to pinpoint like, why did I do good this year? Or, all right, I didn't do this good. Didn't do as good, so why?
Right. Yeah.
And everybody's trying to look for a reason and pinning it on this. And so it is still a mystery.
Yeah. One thing I've like noticed recently is it's kind of like, I guess fashion would be the best word. It's like fashionable. That's kind of why tattooing is, I think, so big. It's so fashionable. It's kind of explaining who you are as a human being.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is when it comes to clothes, cell phones, tattoos, concerts. It's something that you're out flaunting in front of people.
Right.
Artwork. Maybe if people started carrying artwork with them, they would buy it more because they're going to get people, oh my God, you have a so-and-so piece? Like, that's cool. But because it's hanging in their house and they don't get to like flaunt it to everybody, it's like, why do I want that? That could, and with the younger generation, especially now everyone gets bored so easily, so quickly now. It's like you can't keep anybody's attention on anything. They're, I'm bored with this. They throw it away. They throw it away. They throw it away. So it's hard to get, how do you get, them back into appreciating this kind of stuff? Yeah,
that makes sense. Especially another thing too, now that I'm thinking about it is, I know that people don't really buy buying houses isn't as common as it used to be. And I think one of the things, I know there's these two like contradicting ways of like polar opposites as far as like living your life, that being like me going out and flossing that I have like a nice car and all these things. And then there's other people that they'll drive like a Toyota, whatever, like a Toyota Camry or something. And I don't know if that's a bad car.
It's actually a very great car.
Oh, is that what you drive?
No. I used to drive an 85 Corolla, though, and I love that car.
I drive a 91 Buick LeSabre.
Oh,
right on.
But yeah, you drive like a junk car and, you wear like modest clothes, but you come home to like a house that is comfortable to live in, that's curated for you as a human being. So you enjoy when you're at home. Yeah. Where other people enjoy, when you're out and showing off for the world. And I'm guessing the people I'm probably trying to have as consumers of my work are, the latter of just trying to make their home feel more curated to what they enjoy.
Exactly.
But how do you find those? How do we start like a dating site and those two options?
Connect people to the artwork that they should have in their house. It's a good idea.
No, I think you're onto something for sure.
Are.
Yeah.
Don't put this on the podcast. Someone's going to steal your idea.
Hey, please steal my idea and then develop it, and then I'll use it.
Yes. But yeah, that I honestly have never even really thought of that. How do you get people more interested in buying artwork and putting it in their house? Yeah, because we were talking earlier how like the young kids, they think they're going to become like these artists that live off of it, and I'm like, probably not. But how do you make that? Like, how does that become a thing where it's not so like
probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
How do you change the dynamic? And I don't think it's like the art. I mean, I think the artists have to work towards that, but I think there is like a mindset you have to change as far as like, you have to start thinking of how we can, I mean, we talk about it all the time about value and how you make art more valuable to the public. And, I don't know if there's necessarily a concrete answer.
I think I have an answer.
Oh, we've got it. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
That's not breaking news.
I wish news channels would use
party.
that.
It's going to be like typewriter and like
Oh yeah.
or something like
He's
that.
looking for it.
You keep that thought packaged real quick. We have it coming. Or like
All right. Can I use the restroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be a great time.
Awesome. All right. Did you find your noise?
For the breaking news.
I do.
Oh yeah. What was the question?
Wait, what was the question?
You were supposed to remember it.
Oh, I kind of remember, but I want to know
how to get
context.
people-
The answer to all artists' problem of
Oh, right.
how to build value.
Yeah, I got that. Okay.
There it is.
Breaking news, guys. That's perfect.
Okay, it's definitely got to be celebrities. Like, okay, you take MTV Cribs from back in the day. And what
Or Guy Fieri.
Or Guy Fieri. He wasn't showing off artwork in his house.
Right.
What were they showing off? They're
Cars.
showing off cars.
Right.
And of course, that's crazy.
Hypnotic.
Oh yeah, of course, hypnotic. Yes,
But before
Aftershock.
lean was
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah, or Sparks. But yeah, so I mean, it's that was the mainstream, and that's what they were pushing.
Right.
You can see the effect of it today,
Yeah.
and even for movies. But I can't give any names, but I know that it happens a lot. But there's high-end celebrities like the top A-listers who will commission, the high-end artist
Right.
to paint like a room in their house.
For sure.
And I've seen the artwork, and it is incredible.
Right.
Like an entire room, filled like a mural in somebody's house.
Right.
And they were very specific on, no, you cannot show this. You don't
Right.
show anybody what's in this room I got.
Yeah.
And it's like, if people knew that, like that's a thing, like that's what they're doing.
Right.
I feel like maybe art would get more attention from the mass.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Another waiting to dry exclusive.
That's so good.
But yeah, they're very private about it, and I think it's because they don't want any chance of negativity. Like
Right.
they're not going to post it because the same thing you guys deal with or Trekell deals with. They don't want any negative BS on their Instagram or their social media. They don't want to hear someone going, "Oh, you shouldn't have had that. You shouldn't have done that. What are you thinking?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they keep it private. In fact, a lot of artwork is private to where if they were more open about it, since they're at that such level of popularity,
Right.
people would be following hand and foot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
whatever reason, it's a very private thing. Art is a very private thing for that kind of class of
Right.
the population.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we hear from a lot of the pro team artists like, oh, I did a painting for this person and that person, and that
sure.
person, but they can't post about it. They don't
You'll
talk
never know about it.
The
Yeah.
celebrities don't ever post about it. So
Yeah.
that is true.
And the times we do see it, it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I get
Right.
stoked. I know Alicia Keys, she like did some stuff with some artists and she promoted it. I was like, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome
Right,
that you
yeah.
did that. Like that's
Big time.
really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point.
And you told me a long time ago, he was like, you just need somebody to make a movie about art and make it cool. And that's another, Hollywood makes a movie about an artist and
Right.
it turns into like, oh my God, now I want to be an artist. I want to
yeah.
buy artwork. And it's,
mean,
it's
yeah.
annoying how much Hollywood has like an effect on everybody.
Well, like
Yeah.
Exit Through the Gift Shop made a celebrity out of a nobody.
Yeah.
No skill, really.
Yeah, I mean,
Where's my shots fired?
I mean, even skateboarding, like skateboarding, if skateboarding in the 90s, like, and even that mid 90s movie just came out now.
Right,
So,
yeah.
All right.
but even before then, years ago, if someone saw you on a skateboard, you were like a punk.
Right.
You were like no good. You probably
You're a
stunk.
troublemaker.
Yeah.
Skateboarding, surfing it up.
Yeah, you're just a stinky person if you did
Right.
any of those things. So it's like such a negative connotation on
Yeah.
that whole thing. But then the video games came out, the movie came out, was Dogtown or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That came out, and then now all of a sudden they're like skateboarding and fashion are like
Right.
They're like hand in hand because
Yeah.
there's so many people wearing skateboard company clothing that have never even touched a skateboard.
Yeah.
But somehow they have that influence over this
Right.
mass.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why. They would, if it wasn't for those movies, it wasn't for that mainstream attention.
So maybe the idea of like, instead of a celebrity shouting it out, is more like you need more artists to become celebrities. Because I think that's what happened with skateboarding. You know, you had like the Tony Hawk and
Very true.
Yeah, and Jason Lee. Jason Lee's an ex-skateboarder.
Yeah.
Or he might still skate.
Yeah.
And even the Tony Hawk like pro skater thing got everyone aware of like the skaters that were in there. You know, like it was like Kareem Campbell is like, you know, the skater.
Yeah, and even the music that's in that video game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy what will spark a population to get
Exactly.
into something.
Yeah, for sure. And no one probably thought it was a video game that would be a huge thing, or like whatever it is here.
Yeah.
That's a game. That's why, you know, the whole idea of like, how do you do that for artists? But I don't think it's like anything we could predict. It's just hopefully.
No. Yeah.
And I think Instagram is one of those things that something like that could potentially do it. But yeah, like Exit Through the Gift Shop, I think was a really good step. You know, like a really good thing for art in a weird way.
I like Art School Confidential.
Yeah,
That's
a good movie.
I really
but
like that movie.
That paints artists in that light that they all act like that, and I feel like that's something that we need to get away from. Like,
for sure.
I've never met an artist like that in my life. Every artist I've ever met, I'm like, you guys are rad. You're down to earth. Like, we have so much in common, but they portray artists on movies and TVs, and you know, just so ridiculously that I'm like, nobody is acting like that.
Yeah,
And if
like
they
I was
are,
the first to paint triangles. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So that's the other thing too, is I don't think people realize how much fun the art
Wedding
world actually
Crashers,
is.
the sun in that movie.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's always always how they portray the artist, and it's nobody's acted like that ever.
Yeah.
So
I work with like a lot of guys that do like machine maintenance and stuff like that, and they find out I'm an artist, and they're like, so like, what is an art show like? Does everyone wear like trench coats?
see, that's what everyone. We're all walking around with champagne. Exactly. Yeah, like we're walking around with champagne and wearing ballroom gowns and, you know, looking at expensive artwork. That it's silly. It's not happening like that.
For sure.
I mean, it is happening, but I'm not going to that.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be invited.
Exactly.
But it's like for the most part of the art world is not that way.
Yeah,
and
we're hanging out, getting drunk, laughing.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's still
cool stuff.
Yeah, it's still a mystery to most of the people, I think.
Yeah.
So
my mom's even made comments like that before, like, those artists you deal with, they're probably really wacky, huh? And I'm like, no, Mom, they're not. Like, they're just like, I mean, maybe she thinks I'm wacky, but I'm like, they're just like me. Like, they're normal human beings.
For sure.
I wouldn't have lasted in this industry if the artists acted the way that they portray them on TV. I would have never even stepped foot into this.
Yeah. You know what else is kind of interesting with like the whole skateboard analogy is like there's a look as far as like fashion wise for a skateboarder, you know, like, oh, that guy probably skates.
Yeah.
And as artists, we don't really have that. I know
You have
for
the
like
stereotypical stuff.
yeah. And I know like the graffiti world, there is like this certain like look where I'm like, that guy probably does graffiti. It's like a version of hipster.
It's not like, see, I'm already imagining like Jinko pants, like IS interstate shorts.
They wear like North Face jackets, like raincoats, and like biker, like the like biker hats for like you know what I'm talking about, like guys that ride bikes, like fixies, like those bikes, and van shoes or something like that. Because van shoes are good for hopping fences and stuff like that.
Yeah, the waffle cone.
Yeah,
waffle cone sole.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. And so there's like just little things of like I don't know how to explain it, but
it seems like the artists don't have a uniform. They don't stick out. They are still hidden, camouflaged among people. Because even when we meet artists, I would never guess that they do this.
For sure.
And so
and there is something about people love to be a part of a thing and being identified by how you're portrayed on the outside of like, oh, I'm part of this scene. That's like goes back to the tattooing thing.
Right, yeah.
You know, like I'm part of this scene.
Yeah.
And you can tell by looking at me. Yeah, my uniform or whatever.
Right.
And then, we as artists, we don't have that. which is probably a good thing, but also might be a negative as far as like making it I don't know, adding value or something. I don't know.
Right.
It's hard to see.
It would definitely like at least draw more people because you can imagine skateboard companies. They went from getting by to like building their own skate parks.
Yeah.
Having like huge property, in LA, and they're a huge staple in LA culture, New York culture, and maybe art just isn't there yet as far as like the general population.
Maybe we should bring the beret back.
Yes.
Bring in the beret back.
Please. That's how we'll be identified. But you know what? It's a funny story. We were in New Orleans a couple years ago, and we had too much to drink, and we were like, "Oh, there's a psychic over here. Let's go talk to this guy." Not even joking. He was like, "You're."
Do you remember this? You look like you don't
I know. He's all, "What are you about to tell them?"
No, I was trying to remember the guy's name.
His name was Jeffy.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, he looked at me and he was all, "You work in like the art industry," and I was all, "What the heck? Like, do I have a uniform on and I don't know it?"
Well, I was just thinking like, oh, this guy's real perceptive. I'm starting to look at my shoes. I'm like, what's giving it away?
I have no idea what we were wearing or what we did that made him like, just like, you guys do art. And I was like, what the heck? But then he also was all, you were just talking about going to New York. And I was all, is my phone tapped right now? Because we really were just talking about that. Still can't figure it out. But
yeah, I don't know how he did it. I mean, I don't think he's the real deal, but
maybe
you never
did he have
know.
like a lady in the lobby that was listening in?
Ooh, maybe.
Texting him?
Someone who bugged you.
I don't know. He was just in the middle of the French Quarter, just yelling at people, kind of.
Oh, really?
He didn't seem to have too many resources.
I love it. But I think making art more fun is maybe what. And I feel like with Designer Con, they're doing that. They're making it fun. They're bringing it, because some of those art conferences you do go to, they are still very stuffy and very, proper, and which is fine. People like that, but there's also that other crowd that wants something fun and lively and exciting and vibrant.
Right.
And I feel like that it's almost lacking in the art world right now, but with like galleries like Think Space and Spoke Art, and they're doing that where they're making it more fun. And I think that's also what's missing, is it's just not
and
fun.
And like you guys videotaping Sergio today, making him look way cooler than he is.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah.
If you think about like skate videos, it's like when you were a kid, you would watch those and they make the skaters look cool, but you don't realize that there's like hours and hours and hours that go into them doing what they're doing.
Or the fisheye lens.
Yeah, exactly.
That just blows everything up. It looks way more intense and scary than it might actually be.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So I think that's definitely something else. So we need Hollywood on board.
Yeah.
We need to make it more fun.
I just feel like you got like.
Can you put my head on a skateboarder's body doing a 360 nose grind?
I'm not that good at Premiere Pro.
No one is.
Hire somebody.
James
else.
Cameron said he couldn't do it.
He's out there, I believe.
But yeah, I feel like the art world is kind of like in the same rut that skateboarding and maybe these other things already trekked through. And now you guys are just kind of like bumping the boundaries of it and like trying to get there. But yeah, I feel like skateboarding did pave the way for you guys, because I know there's a lot of artists that came from the skateboarding world.
For sure.
I mean, and I feel like it's the same kind of thing. Like you guys are both sort of outsiders, the general population, I mean, doesn't have an exact positive outlook on that kind of career choice.
Right.
That's true.
For you guys.
Yeah, what are you going to do with that degree? How many times have you guys heard that one?
Yeah, and that's like kind of a bummer. But now like that kind of skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing, that's like they're starting to be in like a more held up positive light.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like as an outsider, that art is like on the same path. They're just not there yet to that point, because nobody's just come along and just been like, hey, you know what? All those ideas you got, they're wrong.
Right.
Just check out some art, hang it up in your house. It'll be pretty cool. People will be impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea that you had about the outward appearance of things, like putting your worth out there, or your identity out there. Art doesn't so much have that right now, at least the fine art world doesn't. But like you were saying about Designer Con, a lot of that you can find people who are making things that you can wear or somehow express your taste through it. So
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. And it's kind of, because if you think back to like the the artists that kind of made it really big in the past, like in the recent past of like Warhol and Dali, they had this like specific look to them, like this artsy look that I think most artists nowadays are like it's like cringy to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And
even when you're talking about having a uniform, I'm like,
that was a uniform.
I saw you twitch and like when's kind of
yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to make you wear a uniform.
My dad shoes.
But if you think of like like you mentioned, exit through the gift shop, and he's probably like Banksy's probably like the big artist of the time, and we literally no one knows how he looks.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's not even like an idea of how an artist looks based off of the most well-known artist living now, probably. So it's like this weird.
you guys are mysterious. I mean, honestly,
maybe we should make like invisibility cloak and just like from the neck down, and people know we're artists because our heads are just floating through.
Just like Batman, they just see your shadow leaving a spot.
Or we could look mysterious, like the neighborhood watch.
I like that.
Big trench coat.
I don't know if people would think you guys were artists. They might think you were something else. But it's also education. I don't like to throw my own family under the bus, but my dad saw a alla prima that an artist had done of me, and he was like, I really like that. And he was like, I'd like to buy one from him. And I was like, okay, Dad. So I gave him the price of what it would be. And it was that whole like,
sticker
a lot.
shock,
Like people don't realize how much artwork costs too. And
for sure.
And then you get the people with the snarky comments of like, why are you charging that much? It only took you this long to do it. And, know, so that's the other problem that you guys face in the art world too, is people not wanting to put that kind of money out. Yeah, it is. That is another tricky thing, is justifying the value of our art to a person who's like, they don't understand what actually goes into it and how many hours it took that artist to get to where they are today to be able to paint something is that awesome that people want to buy it, Yeah, not only that, but this week I was thinking about how art, like paintings in general, and maybe like sculpting or like anything like handmade. Well, paintings probably, I don't know, but paintings are the one thing that you can't mass reproduce, and not lose value. Like you can make a print of something, it'll never be the original painting. No. Right. It's the closest thing you can get to it, but it'll never be the original painting. And that's like, I couldn't even think of things that exist in this world that are like that still. Yeah. There's like maybe like handmade furniture, things like that. But it's pretty much anything handmade is gonna live in that world. And and in general, that I think people nowadays are gaining value for those things, saying like, oh, I want like a handmade knife or like well-made furniture or whatever. And these things, I think art lives in that world, and I think people are getting away from like the Costco, everything in bulk, everything as cheap as I can get it, to I want something that lasts long, quality made, it just is what it is. It's like the master brush maker, or I know they have like master knife maker, same thing. They have these years of training of their craftsmanship, and you're paying for that. Yeah. You're paying for that value. Yes. Understanding that's going to last you a long time or a lifetime, depending on how you take care of this tool or whatever you're doing. So I don't know. It's that. It's if you buy a painting from me, I hope you hold it. You have it forever. Yeah. And how many things do you buy with the intention of never getting rid of? Yeah. Especially nowadays. Yeah. It's not a lot. Like heirlooms. Yeah, exactly. Someone going to buy something with the intention to pass it down. Exactly. Yeah. That's not really a model nowadays with Amazon. No, not at all. You buy things cheap and, okay, it broke, I'll just buy another one. Yeah, and you're so pissed if it's not there in 2 days. Exactly. Yeah. So, I think there is a small group of people that is slowly growing of like valuing handmade things. And I think art falls into that realm. And, hopefully that'll pay off for
if not us, for future artists to get to make a living off art. That would, at some point that'd be great.
Yeah. I think the art world's just kind of in a weird place right now too.
Yeah.
So people are getting pretty down about it and they're feeling pessimistic, but I think it'll bounce back. It always does.
Yeah.
But everyone's concerned about digital art taking over. I don't ever think it's going to dominate, but I don't think it's going to take over.
No.
There's no way that a digital piece is ever going to be better than something that was.
For sure.
I mean, in my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but I
totally
find
agree.
something.
Yeah.
I think there's something beautiful about a paint and a canvas, and it's there. It's not something that was created on a computer that you're gonna have to print it out and.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So.
Yeah, there is something special about standing in front of something that the artist stood in front of.
Yes.
Yes,
very true.
And that's why we've talked about it before that when you go to museums where you stand in front of something that like Rembrandt stood in front of you, like he stood right where I'm standing, not really, but like this far from this painting.
Yeah.
Maybe not the ground, but the image. And there's something magical about that.
Big time.
So yeah, and I mean, I love digital work. There's some amazing digital.
It's hard.
artists.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I don't want to undermine what the digital artist is doing, but it's just different from
for
the
sure.
actual medium of painting, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hell yeah.
Has anyone figured out what that is yet?
I don't know if anybody cares.
Okay. But yeah, that's cool. So when did you start videotaping for Trekell? Was that always like an interest of yours or something you got in?
Well, since I was a little kid, I've been on a BMX bike. Started racing, and then after I grew out of that, I just dirt jumps, and I was in the street, skate parks, and so of course, what comes with that is filming.
Right, filming your friends.
And I had a really good buddy who had the camera, who did have the aspirations to become a filmer. He wanted to go to school for it, so he also rode, so he needed someone to film him. So that was usually me.
Nice.
And then my other buddy. So I've always had experience behind the camera from just high school days to now. But Courtney had recently we've been talking about it, and they're just like, yeah, we really need to just pump these videos out. Like every time we meet up with someone, let's just do a video because we're already meeting up with them.
For sure.
Right.
Might as well kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I just had to brush up my editing skills up a little bit and kind of get back in the flow. But
watch a bunch of YouTube.
No, actually, my good buddy from back in the day is actually a legitimate filmmaker.
Nice.
And so he's working in the BMX industry. So he's got more than enough information and knowledge, and
that's awesome.
So he was like my go-to to ask. Like, in fact, the camera I have is a recommendation from him.
That's cool.
So it was pretty easy. I didn't have to do too many internet searches.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We're still perfecting it. It's, lighting, just all that little stuff that you don't think of. Like how you guys talked about, we're just going to do a podcast, and then you realize, there's more that needs to go into it. I mean, it was the same for us. We're like, we can't use this mic anymore. We have to use this mic instead. And, the lighting, we got to make sure that noise is turned off. Like, it's just things like that. You got to constantly
And I wasn't used to that just because, like BMX and skateboarding, we're just gritty. Was it raining? Is it sun out? Who cares? What the mic does? The mic's broken? Who cares?
Yeah.
And you just film it. And so
put a song over it and you'll be good.
Yeah, it's kind of grimy.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of a style too.
Right.
But I mean, that's probably why painting never latched onto me, just because my heart's already set to BMX and
right, for sure.
And and nothing's gonna come close to that for me.
Right.
Like I can spend a week trying to paint, and all I'm going to do is get mad.
Right, yeah.
It looks like crap. So
you got to paint BMXs.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
I thought about it, but it's like, even because I've seen other people, like tons of BMXers have become painters.
Oh, really?
Or at least there's at least a handful that were legitimate professional BMXers that went to the painting side. And I don't know, not into it.
Yeah. I was just kidding. I wasn't.
Well, I'm serious.
You don't have to paint BMXs.
No, I will, and that's just another thing. Like, if someone were to paint a skateboarding scene or like a stunt of a skateboarding or BMX, it doesn't do anything. Somebody wants to photograph.
Yeah.
Like, nobody gets any kind of satisfaction from seeing a painting of that. They want the video. They want the picture.
Yeah.
So it doesn't translate very smoothly.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be I don't know. If I was to tackle that exercise, it would never be that. It would be something of like, how do you would want to connect to the experience of, it's like if a surfer, if you're into surfing, you paint the ocean, you don't paint a surfer in a wave. You know what I mean? It's almost like you would have to capture an experience. At least for me, that's how I would tackle it. It's
or like an emotion. That's what I'd imagine. Like, I don't know, maybe like a BMXer who's holding his broken bike that just snapped.
Yeah.
You know, he's got all beat up, or I was maybe capturing some kind of emotion.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, that's from my experience comes from, and so all these analogies, just because I'm like so clueless with the art world, so when I do find something new or learn something new about it, I'm like, oh my god, that's exactly like how it is in the BMX world or the skateboarding world. Yeah, because I'm like pretty close with both those worlds.
Right.
So it's more like a sort of learning and sort of just comparing the two, and seeing the similarities.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm not totally in the dark.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's actually where the pro team idea came from. Greg got that from the skateboarding community. He was like, you guys should have like a pro team like the skaters do it. I was like, I like that idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I was like, well, they got AM teams too. And then I realized, and then I learned that painters don't like the term amateur. Like that's a huge
nobody wants to be called an amateur.
Whereas like the skateboarding BMX world, it's like, yeah, that's the step you go through. You go your flow, which is like, you know, give you a couple shirts, maybe give you a couple parts, or your AM, where maybe you'll go on a trip or two, or your pro.
Right.
Like that's the levels you climb. And even then, those guys, they're not making any money. They're subsidizing the hell out of their income.
Right.
So there's so many similarities. And so that's why if I have anything to contribute to a conversation, it's just going to be that. Just because I see the trials and tribulations of both those worlds.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah. We have, I don't know how you...
Yeah, you can't segue into really much after that, huh? Sorry about that.
No, but we have like these questions. Well, it's funny because we usually do like a artist critique.
I have an idea, but yeah.
And an artist critique, and since you guys aren't artists, it's hard because we usually pull up their painting and we go like, oh, let's talk about your painting for a while. But obviously this isn't, we don't have that segment today. Yeah. And then there's also two questions Sergio always asks, and they're art related.
Yeah.
So
I think I have a way to ask that question though.
All right. Let's hear it.
It pretty much is because we usually ask like, who are your top 5 dead or alive artists? And then it became top 5 alive artists. And, but perfectly segue, like who would be on your dream pro team that you don't have yet?
Yeah, who are you trying to sign to?
Are you going to hurt any
if you have a draft?
Nobody. No. That's hard to say because, I mean, I feel like the artists that we've already landed are amazing.
For sure.
Right.
It's hard. There's so many good ones out there. It's like we wish we could add more people, but we want to keep it kind of exclusive, kind of close knit. So it's not just, you know, we got 100 artists on the pro team. That kind of
sure.
That's not fun.
And now we're not selling any brushes because they all used to buy our brushes.
Now they don't buy them anymore, and they're just getting them for free. So that didn't do anything. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's any artists out there that I'm just. I mean, the last podcast we did, I said I'd love to do a brush set with Mark Ryden.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be fun. But I mean, if there's an artist that I want to work with, I usually just go right after him.
Yeah.
If I don't get a response, I quit. I'm not going to beg people to be a part of something if they don't want to. Like if it's not. And most of the artists that we ended up working with, they were already using the brush before. It was never just like me tempting them. Like you get free stuff if you're on the pro team. It's like they already liked it. They already liked the company. I built a relationship with them.
Right.
And then it's like, then they get invited to be on the pro team because we know that they're going to work well with the company. And if we've tried to blindly add somebody before and it didn't work out very well. So I learned that lesson quick to just
For sure.
make sure.
What do you
there's
mean
a connection.
blindly add them?
Like, oh, they're a big artist and they got a good following and, we should add them. And then they weren't nice.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot that goes into it. And people are always like, how do you get on the pro team? Like they think there's some sort of like magic formula. And it's like, it just doesn't work out that way. It's, we get to know you. We like you, you have an idea, you bring it to us and it just kind of organically happens.
Right.
It's not
Right on.
forced. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And I don't know how you're going to ask your second question. But I wanna,
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I don't. Huh. That's
if you had, here, I'll do it for you.
okay.
If you had David Cho money,
Whew.
what would you do artistically?
Who's David Cho?
The guy that he bought, or he painted a mural at Facebook,
Yeah.
and they were either
Right.
going to pay him or pay him in stocks.
Yeah.
And he took the stocks.
yeah,
that
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
that's worth how many millions now?
Like 200 million?
million.
Maybe more now, probably.
Like, what would you do with that money?
He said
Yeah.
artistically, what would you do with it?
Artistically.
Yeah, that's hard.
Oh, I would commission the entire inside of a house.
Nice.
I would
Okay.
want every room painted different.
That's awesome.
That's a cool idea.
At
That
least,
would be
yeah.
fun.
Who would be your number one artist that you would that you would like? I need to have that person in my
Oh man. Well, I mean,
like. Who's your favorite artist? I should say.
Price. I mean, Simpkins, but I mean
that's
seems.
a good choice.
I mean, he's already on. He's like on the team. He's so connected with us. So
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
Well, that's good.
Well,
though.
that's
I
good.
mean,
Yeah, you already
if
have
you
a
have, if your
relationship with
if your favorite artist is someone that you work with, that's awesome. That's amazing.
There's been like tons of pieces that I'll see that I've never seen before. I'm just like, God damn, that's a good one.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw his work. It was at Upper Playground,
Oh, wow.
and this was like I don't know, over 10 years ago. And I saw it and I was like, my mind was blown. I was just like, I
who is
don't
this
know
guy?
what I'm doing.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to see Greg and Dabs Mila and Tony Sear and I do a wall together.
Oh yeah, Tony.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah. Because that's what I love about Tony is his, artwork that he does in the studio is you would never suspect that he does graffiti. You're just like, what?
Yeah, I know.
So I would love to see all of them do something together.
Yeah, when I found out who he was graffiti wise, I was like, dude, I had when I was a kid, I was really broke, but my buddy had a graffiti magazine and he sold it to me for, I think like $5 or something like that. And I cut out like all my favorite ones. And there's like him and this guy named Emit. They did this piece together, and I had it like right above like where I slept. There was like a cabinet, and I had it like taped to it, so I would wake up and see it, and then just it was like goals of like,
Yeah.
I need to get there.
Yeah.
And so when I found it, I was like, dude, I used to have the like broccoli head guy,
Yeah.
like the DF Lab broccoli rat thing with on my thing. It's crazy that you're an artist now.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
It is awesome.
And an amazing artist at that. But yeah,
Really good.
yeah.
But I don't know if I have an answer to that question. That's a hard one. I would definitely want to do something that gives back to the art community. And I honestly, that's a hard one, you guys.
I would like to make some of these cities just let painters paint their buildings.
Yeah.
Because every time when we travel and we go to a different town or different city, and you see these just like, if it's tagging or actual painted murals, just like seeing buildings just more than 3 colors
Right.
is just a cool feeling. It's cool
For
to just
sure.
to go into the city like that. And I think if more towns were just like lively,
Yeah.
or if it didn't have like that whole city council voted no,
Right.
you can't paint bright colors on this building. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a stupid rule. It's just a stupid
Right.
thing to say no to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Long Beach allows it and it looks awesome. Like it just brings so much to the city. And downtown LA has murals.
Yeah.
Portland.
Portland's pretty big.
We
on
saw a
it.
lot in San Francisco last night, like in Chinatown. We saw all their
Yeah.
murals
Oh,
everywhere.
sure.
And it's like, it's awesome. I think that's another reason why art isn't as big as it could be, because it still
Yeah.
gets shunned, where it's like, no, you can't paint that building because it makes our city look blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
like, come on.
And it's like, no, it brings it alive.
I know.
It,
It
does.
It completely
My
changed the
favorite
mood.
part of this city is the Mission District, and it's like where the murals are.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and it just that whole area just feels lively. Just always has a ton of people out. It just feels like when you're outside, like it just has this energy to it.
It's inviting.
Absolutely.
It pulls you over to that area because you want to see, like, what is this building? Why is this artwork on it? And
For
then you just
sure.
realize that it was just a piece of artwork that somebody commissioned for that building. It might not even have anything to do with the business.
Yeah,
And it just looks awesome.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, because, it's probably because we grew up in this desert town that just, it's like 3 colors. It's like dirt brown and like just tumbleweeds, beige, all forms of beige. And we get nothing else.
Yeah.
Dust.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of dust.
Yeah.
So it's like when we walk into a city or we're driving into a city and it's just like, it's just so colorful and popping, it automatically cheers us up. It's almost,
Right.
it's almost like a little pick-me-up.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
don't even know it. It's subconscious. So
Yeah. That's
I don't
awesome.
think too many people realize that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Maybe this old generation will be gone soon enough, and have these more people that were around, Instagram, and see what it's like to actually be vibrant. And
I know. That's like one thing I was thinking about was like maybe with Instagram, maybe it's like with the change, it just is going to take a while. It's like all these young kids are going to grow up with like this love for art, and then they're going to finally have like jobs and a budget that they can spend. And
Very true.
and make
then-
decisions that are up to that par.
Exactly. And then they'll start buying art, and artists will start reaping that reward, but it's not like a instant
No,
moment. It's like we have to wait for this thing.
it's like generational.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to be nice to all my followers.
I remember when you were a dick.
I'm just kidding. That's not why I'm nice. Where's the wink wink noise? I'm just kidding. Nice. I think that's been the podcast. We do have to well, thank you guys so much for doing it.
Oh, thank you.
sure.
I
It was
really appreciate
awesome.
it.
It was fun.
Super fun.
It was.
And yeah, great meeting you guys. We are doing like a giveaway of 2 paintings
That's right.
after December it ends. So if you guys rate and review us, that helps us grow the show. So tell a friend,
Tell a foe.
tell a foe. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
About the contest, or yeah, we'll pick somebody at random who rates and reviews us on iTunes.
Yeah, and it might
And
take a
make
while
sure you let
to
us
show.
know that it's you.
Yeah,
We're not
And-
going to hunt you down.
and they can find you guys on. Your Instagram is just Trekell.
Trekell _art_supplies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
we're on Facebook, YouTube, our website's Trekell.com. We're everywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, and we'll shout them out on our social media so people know what's up. But I don't know if there's anything else. I feel like I'm forgetting something. That's the only reason I keep looking at it. I'm like, I don't know why.
So,
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Cheers.
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 Beers up.
Another waiting to dry classic.
Yeah, this has been Wing Jai. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening, fuck off.